This is a podcast called 25 Whistles, talking football, and they all wear a whistle. Yeah, it's stupid, but what did you expect? It's a podcast called 25 Whistles. 25 Whistles.
Eddie, blow the whistle. Okay, we got a couple things to do. I got a whole list of stuff. I do want to start with the Cowboys losing again. Because I watched the first 2.5 quarters of the game, and once he wasn't throwing a pass over 3 yards, not even completing it. Yeah. I mean, because what I remember about Cooper Rush was pretty positive, actually. I mean, he came in and won some games last year.
I think he was like 4-0 last year when he came in. Just won 4 in a row.
It was not good.
No.
I don't know if it's because the Eagles played defense really well, but they weren't even attempting. I think his average attempt was like 2.5 to 3 yards. So again, the Cowboys lose. We thought that would happen. However, about through the first half, I'm like, oh, we might have a game here. We might just.
I mean, yeah, we get a pick right at the Eagles end zone. Like we're like 6 yards away, and we can't punch it in. Cooper Rush has a wide open look at CeeDee Lamb, throws it in between him and the tight end. They don't even know who the ball's going to.
Yeah, that interception that was right after a fumble, like a lucky. That was a lucky.
It was lucky, but it
like
set us up.
They had just fumbled, and then they intercepted the ball right back.
It was so bad, Bones, that I bet $75. I don't ever bet $75. Ever. But I had $75 in my account, and DraftKings had put this bonus for a live bet, and I was like, this is a touchdown. They're 6 yards away. It's first and goal. Let's go. $75 for a touchdown. They cannot convert.
So I ended up turning it off because there were other things I wanted to do, like anything. And I did put it back on to watch the game cast, and I saw Trey Lance was in the game.
He came in. Yeah.
Right. So how did he look?
Dude, he comes in for 2 plays, runs, goes nowhere. They pull him out, put Cooper Rush back in.
Oh, they did? Did he throw a pick?
And then Cooper Rush comes back in. No, he didn't throw a pick yet. And then Cooper Rush comes back in. And then Cooper Rush finishes the drive. They punt. Then fourth quarter, it's all Trey Lance.
Wait, why did they do that?
I have no idea. It was crazy, too, because they both ran out of the field, and they showed Cooper look at the side. Oh, no, not me. Okay. And Cooper Rush sat back, and they let Trey Lance go in for 2 plays.
That's bizarre.
It's so bizarre.
Hey, Mike, what audio do you have from this?
I have Jerry Jones talking about it.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. Is he in a good mood, do you think?
He is not. Hit me with the mic.
What does today's performance tell you about Dak's role in this team and what he's been doing this season?
Well, what do you mean?
Given that you saw what the team looked like without Dak, how do you tell, when you look at the difference, what do you think about Dak?
I don't want to be sarcastic, but you got the same arithmetic I've got? We've won 3 games with Dak. Okay, so I'm just saying we weren't playing well with Dak at all.
Something that sticks out to me. You know somebody's old when they use the word arithmetic. Because, I mean, we'd probably say math. People younger than us, who knows what they're saying? But when someone says arithmetic, you know they're completely on a different age spectrum as we are.
But what is he saying here? Because the reporter's trying to get at, like, all right, like, you thought Dak wasn't good, but now you put your backup in, Cooper Rush. You even let Trey Lance play a little bit. They're not any better.
Well, what he's saying is, do you know arithmetic? The first time I watched the clip, I thought the same thing, and then I stopped thinking about it because I didn't care anymore. I think it's like he was saying even with Dak, they weren't winning. So, like, kind of what's the difference?
Okay.
But I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure.
I feel like when Jerry Jones talks like that, I'm always at the end like, I don't understand what that meant.
Hey, what's the deal? Are you jealous of Brandon Marcello coming on the show?
I don't think jealous is the word. I feel like we're slowly losing our jobs. Me, Kevin, Casey, Reed. And I feel like when Brandon comes on, you geek out and you guys talk sports, and I guess I get a little like left out, man, because you guys have this connection when you talk about college sports. It's really good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's really good, and I'm sure listeners like it. But I think for us, like, I can't talk to you like that about the college game day.
I never talk sports.
Yeah, no. Well, can I ask? Let me ask you a question, a real question.
What's up?
Because this is a sports show. How many college games did you watch this weekend?
See, here's
No, I just need an answer. Like,
I thought hard about this.
At least 1/4 of how many games did you watch?
20?
That there's no way.
20 games.
There's no way.
I'm telling you that by the time Sunday comes around, I forgot who Tennessee played. I forgot who. I see a TikTok video of Ole Miss tearing their goal field. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. I saw the game. Who did they beat?
There's no way you watched at
Georgia.
least 1/4 of the game. 20 quarters of a game. There's no way.
I go back and forth for a lot of games because I do big parlays. So usually what I do is I get the big parlays, whatever's on the fence, that's the game I'm watching. So like tennis, like what was one that was Alabama, LSU, stopped watching it. Texas, stopped watching that one.
But if you wouldn't make it selfish about your parlays, because we do a sports show, and if I feel like I can't talk sports with you, I have to talk sports with somebody.
Right, and that's Brandon.
Well, that's anybody. Even I have to go to Kevin sometimes because you don't watch games.
I do. I'm telling you, man, I can't remember, dude.
That's no. We're not accepting that.
You remember everything about the Cowboys game.
Yeah, I watch, but that's the only one I watch. I don't
because
go back and forth.
Because you watch that game.
Yeah.
Because you actually take like I watched first quarter of Ohio State Purdue. That was so gone from the start that I felt there was no need for me to go back.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see, and also like those games, those Big 12, or excuse me, the Big 10 noon game. It's terrible.
And
I haven't watched like the pregame because like Leinert's on it and Brady Quinn and those guys are legit as far as like college football players. But then you compare them with game day, it just looks like a bad version of it, like a second. So I watched that. I watched Georgia Tech Miami, almost all of it because what?
The whole thing?
I won't lie into the whole thing, but like 3/4 of it at least, because one, I knew we may have Coach on, which we do later from Georgia Tech. But two, I wanted Miami to lose, and Georgia Tech was up pretty much the whole game, if not all of the game. And Miami made a run at the end, so that kept me in. I watched Texas and Florida because I wanted to see the Yale kid, the redshirt freshman who was starting for Florida.
Oh,
who
yeah.
came in at the end of last. But like I'm watching.
He did okay.
He's fine.
He was all right.
But I'm watching this because I know I have to talk about it on the show. That's the reason I'm talking about it. Like this
Yeah.
is part of our career.
Well, what I told my wife was that the reason I do parlays and gamble on the weekends is because I do a sports podcast and I need to watch these games.
But you don't
anyway.
watch the games.
Yeah.
No, I do, man. I'm telling
You just know them from a betting perspective.
right,
And not even all of them. You don't even watch the ones like you're winning or losing. You just watch the ones that are on the fence. My only point is you're jealous of somebody who is giving me something that you're not.
I know, and he's good at it too. And that's kind of like, man. And what I thought was like, it's almost like the bitter ex-girlfriend. It's like I'll never give him that. Like when you talk to Brandon, I'm like, there's no way. Like Bones could be like, hey Eddie, what'd you think about Georgia Tech?
But don't you think if this is part of your career, you should invest a little time in actually, I don't know, doing a good job at it?
No, for sure. And that's why I watch a lot of the games.
You don't. You watch parts of games. Did you watch any of the Ole Miss Georgia game?
No.
Okay.
No. Did not
Like
watch.
literally one of the biggest games
Yeah, I didn't
of
watch
the
that one.
weekend.
Yeah. Mostly because I didn't bet on that one.
Right.
That was too close for me to bet, so I stayed away from that one.
Did you watch any of Indiana, Michigan?
Yeah. No.
You said yeah.
No. I didn't watch a lot of that
You
one.
didn't care to see if Signetti was going to go 10-0, and you didn't care to see if they would continue to blow out teams, or that Michigan was like the first decent team they play. Like none of that mattered to you.
Yeah, no, I knew that headline going in, but I didn't really. Maybe it was low on my parlay list, but I think I did have Indiana to win that one, money line. So I don't think I was ever in danger of that one, so I never went to that.
I watched most of Tennessee and Mississippi State because, again, I wanted to see. I knew Mississippi State was terrible, but I wanted to see them cover because I had bet that game.
Mm-hmm.
But then when Nico went out at halftime, I was like, "Oh God, we're not going to cover," and then we didn't. That one sucked.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
And they easily could have. They should have.
I agree, and he's going to play next week.
Yeah,
the game was just over. I mean, I think there was no reason to put him back in.
Yeah, it was only 19 points, but from the very beginning, you're like, it felt like anytime they wanted, they just went deep.
I watched Alabama LSU. That game, I watched it until it got out of hand, and you knew LSU wasn't coming back. It was wet. Milroe was running all over. At the beginning, it was kind of a game. When it was 14-3, then 14-6. Then it just got out of hand. I watched BYU. Some BYU Utah was late.
That was a late
Yeah, I
one.
watched the first half of that.
Yeah. So, Eddie, my point is, if you do a sports show, you should watch sports.
Yeah. No, and my point is I did watch it. I just don't remember.
No, you didn't watch it. You just said you didn't
Those
watch it.
3 games that you mentioned, yep. Ironically, I didn't watch those.
Those are the big. Anyway. We won't even do NFL. How many NFL games you watch?
All of them. But they were all blowouts. I mean, a lot of crazy blowouts. That Chiefs one went pretty close. Which, man, Denver's like, they're just like a cockroach. They just keep going. Like it's hard to kill Denver.
They won't die, huh?
They will not die.
I'm telling you,
Except for they did.
Bo Nix is something,
yeah.
dude. Like he goes hard one way or he goes really hard the other way. But I'm telling you, like Bo Nix is a guy I would want on my team. Like he competes.
Yeah.
That's so okay. But my point is, don't be jealous of Brandon. He gives me something.
Yeah. You guys have something special, and you guys are good together. So I feel like, man, I gotta up my game up. But maybe it's my memory. You have anything?
It's not a memory thing.
Okay.
My recommendation would be, if you want to be a part of a sports, you want to do a good job, watch sports. Is that what you said? It's accurate, Kevin?
Yeah, they even have it. You can watch 4 games at once. Like, it doesn't get any easier than right now.
Oh, I don't have the college thing where you can do that.
College thing. Do you have YouTube TV?
Yeah, but all I have, I don't have YouTube TV. All I have is the ticket on YouTube for NFL. So I can do quads on NFL.
Okay, well, yeah, that's fine.
But not college. So college,
you don't have to pay for it.
Really?
No.
Yeah, you can on YouTube TV. Period. You talking about? Do you have YouTube TV?
No, I have Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but you can still watch a bunch of games.
And on Hulu, I can watch every single game, but I have to go to them individually. They're not all quadded out on my TV.
All right.
I'll work
anyway,
on it. I'll work on it.
I'm just saying, you should probably invest a little more time in watching sports so you can have things to say about sports.
Okay. I did watch the whole Texas game though, Texas, Florida.
I thought you said turn it off because it got ugly.
Oh, that one I watched because I had made that bet and I wanted to make sure I didn't look like an idiot when I came in today.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
You went to the game?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Go ahead.
Offense back to looking amazing. Those misdirection plays were like what were they doing? It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool being down there. Got to go on the sideline before the game.
I saw that. How do you do that? Who put you over there?
Taylor Searles, who we met when we went to go tour the campus.
Who?
Taylor Searles.
Oh yeah.
She hooked it up.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
we got there. We were hanging out with all like the high school recruits. It was weird.
Did you go to the Vols game?
Yeah, I did.
What happened with your seats?
Okay. So we had 11 people, a big group, people all in one row. This was great. Tailgating was fun. We got to see the band, the Vol Walk, the whole experience. It was great. We get in, we sit down, we find out our seats, like we try to squeeze everybody in, and then we find out there's still like a person that can't even sit down because the seats are all taken. Our seats, the width of them are 12 inches each seat. So you're literally sitting on top of somebody. And so when they say, oh, we have 110,000 people, it's because they jam these people into like little infant seats. And halfway through the second quarter, we just got over it.
Is it really 12 inches? Because that's really small.
No, you Googled it and they shrunk them back in like the 90s because they wanted to fit more people into the stadium and pump their numbers up. And it wasn't enjoyable to watch.
Were most people standing up?
No, it was like half and half. And I could have stood the whole time, but we were with 11 people and like some people were like annoyed and pissed off. And then some girl got yelled at by some dude next to her because he wouldn't move over, and he's like, I take this seat. And she's like, come on, man. Like, we're all in this, like, struggling together. And he was just being an a-hole about it. So it was just not the best experience.
I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry they didn't cover. That was my for sure. I knew they would cover. Mm-hmm. And I think they would have. They still could have. I think they still could have. But when Nico went at halftime, I was like, of course. When I get on and go, for sure.
They still have that, like, there's no, like, kill in them.
I agree.
You know, I'm like, even when Samson fumbled going in the end zone, and it's just like, dang, you guys should be killing this team.
And don't forget, Arkansas beat them.
Yeah.
That tells you they have no kill in them.
But they got Georgia this week, and Georgia's going to be angry.
Georgia's going to whoop the crap out of them. Yep. Okay, so that was another one. Here's a job, because in case this job doesn't work out, Eddie.
Okay, I'm listening. All ears.
Well, it's just the guy didn't watch sports. It's a sports show.
I did watch all sports.
You don't. You have nothing. No, that doesn't.
I'm going to start taking notes.
But that's what I do. That's literally what I do.
You write notes while you're watching?
I literally keep notes of things I don't forget.
But what about the beer? Like you're holding the... Oh, you don't drink. That's right.
But it doesn't matter. I have drinks all around me. You don't have to hold it in your hand the whole time.
Notes app on your phone, dude.
I take notes constantly about anything because I know this is like part of our job when we get paid, and I don't want to do a bad job because then we don't get to do the job anymore. We don't get paid anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can make $65,000 as a professional sex doll tester.
Oh. Wait, as the sex doll?
I don't think so.
Wait.
I don't think so.
Because first he agreed with it. He's like, cool.
And technology is getting more sophisticated. So there's a team and they need people to be a sex doll product tester and AI trainer. It's a remote gig. You test various dolls to assess product quality, functionality, and durability. Imagine meeting with your manager, though, after they want to ask you. Like, that would be a weird
durability.
So, yeah, how was Cindy?
Oh, my God.
That would just be weird. I don't want to do all my feedback online. I don't want to have to be having to talk with my boss about my thoughts on the new AI technology. They want to improve capabilities, focus on conversation and memory retention.
Wow.
Oh, God.
You document test results, provide feedback. You get 22 paid holidays each year, paid travel to global events. I don't want to go to any events.
Whoa.
I don't want anybody to know I'm doing this. If I'm doing this, I don't want anybody to know this is my job.
Nowhere in the world would get you to do this.
What?
Like you could travel anywhere. Like you could pick it.
I can already do it. I can travel anywhere I want.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Jeez.
There's a
Shot that down real quick.
a professional development stipend, employee discounts on the product.
Oh,
Why would you want a discount on the product? You're already doing it to the product. You don't need
If you
another one.
like it, if you like, you get to keep it.
hooking up the boys, man.
I don't want to. I don't want them to send it back if they use it. You get to keep everything you use. I bet a free gym membership because you want to be in shape for your lady.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Company cell phone. If you're interested in getting paid, you can email them hello@dollauthority.com. That's from Ask Men. $65,000 a year to test out sex dolls.
I mean, that's not a bad wage.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
And they'd be like, Eddie, what'd you do this weekend? Well, the doll was in the other room.
No. You say
Like, I looked in on it.
You say I worked.
Oh my
Long day a
God.
week. Long day of work.
Another thing was the Auburn airplane gets turned around. And I saw it at first. And they said it was horseplay. And they were like, Auburn's airplane gets turned around because of horseplay. Then it turned out two of the players were fighting. Then they identified the players. Then they went and beat Houston the next night in a big upset. Did you watch that?
I did not watch it. I saw it. They beat Houston, though.
Yeah, I watched
Because
it.
that was Saturday night. There was football going on.
I watched it too. I watched Arkansas
You
basketball.
watch
game,
basketball too? Back and
Yes.
forth? Oh, man. You're amazing.
And I took notes.
I don't know how you can do all that.
Mike, we hit the air traffic control. Here we go.
Sir, we have got an altercation on board. We knocked to declare an emergency and land. We got a bunch of basketball players fighting. The flight deck is secure. The threat level is contained for the moment. We just had, police on the ground, and we had two players that got into physical altercation. Clothes were ripped, and one bloody player.
Horseplay.
That's really embarrassing for them.
Yeah. Did you see the clip of one of the players that night of the game? They were killing, I think, like Vermont or something like that. And they were about like 30, and he's in the corner, like getting all pissed off that they're not passing him the ball. And that was one of the players that got into it on
Really?
that flight after
Was he
that
number
game.
3?
Number 3.
I did see that clip.
Yep.
That's wild because those planes, I'm assuming they're just flying a charter jet. It's not like a
It looked like a
Southwest.
tiny plane.
Yeah, it's not like a Southwest Airlines big.
No.
There's not a lot of room in those things.
And they're big dudes.
And they're big dudes.
Poor pilots.
That's so embarrassing. Imagine you're Bruce Pearl.
Ugh.
And this story's out that your team fights on a charter plane down to Houston. They did win though.
They
They
did.
did win.
Yeah, good for them. Bama thumped LSU. Ole Miss put it on Georgia. What else? Oh, a couple other things. So I was watching. Did you guys wake up? You watched the Ireland game? No, London
Germany?
game. Germany game. Yeah, one of those.
One of those
No,
places.
I was driving back from Knoxville at that time.
So because darkness is all weird now, I woke up and watched almost the whole thing because it's.
Yeah,
I go to bed
I did
earlier
too.
because it's dark. Yeah, well,
Unfortunately,
And
right?
the last games I did, I wake up like halfway through and watch
Yeah.
it. I woke up and watched the whole thing, and my wife was up too. And they show the two quarterbacks. It was Daniel Jones versus Bryce Young, and right on beat, she was like, "Oh boy, what a matchup we have here! Battle the Titans."
Even she knows.
Yeah, even she knows how. And so both of those teams are so inept.
Horrible.
It would be like a fumble into another fumble into an interception. It
Basically.
was crazy how bad. I was really pumped. Bryce Young did have moments though where he looked like he was starting to put it together and like he was not just reacting out of sheer terror. I was happy to see him win again. The funniest part though to me was at the end of the game, they go to overtime and they have Bryce Young and Daniel Jones out at midfield. They're the two doing the coin toss. I don't know if they're not the only two captains, but they have those two at midfield doing the coin toss. Bryce Young looked like a child
Next to Daniel Jones.
and standing face to face. So the ref's in the middle and they're standing. Bryce Young looked like he was 9 inches shorter.
Really?
Looked like
He might be.
looked like a kid compared to Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So much so that I was worried for his health and his safety against those big NFL guys. Like, and we've met Bryce Young, and Daniel Jones is probably 6'6" or so, I would imagine. 6'5",
I think
6'6".
he's 6'6". Yeah.
The difference in those two was hilarious. I was happy to see the Panthers win again. That's pretty cool. I like to see Bryce Young gets another shot to make it, but Daniel Jones is done. If he gets injured, they have to pay him all his money.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't play anymore. They shouldn't play him. He gets hurt. This is what David Carr had when he was with the Raiders. Whenever they stopped playing him, because had he got hurt, they'd owed him a bunch more money the next year. They can cut him without having to pay him everything next year. But if he gets hurt, they got to pay him.
Yeah, you can't risk that.
So you don't.
No.
Nope.
No.
He doesn't play anymore. But what a disaster of a game that was.
Imagine paying a bunch of money out there. Like you live in Germany, like, yeah, NFL's coming here. Pay a lot of money probably. And that's what you see.
It was all like weird. It's like those other Irish games too. Like everybody's wearing all different jerseys. Like I'm sure they're passing out jerseys. Like there was some Vikings fan going crazy in the crowd the whole time. I was like, does he even know what teams he's watching? So yeah, that was a really bad game. a lot of missed kicks yesterday in general. Like there was a span at one point in the witching hour. They were missing kicks like crazy.
Did you see that altercation with Debo and Moody? Yeah,
So
that's
he
crazy.
pops Moody and then grabs the deep snapper by the throat,
He's not playing around, man.
Yeah.
which was who
does that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and also not behind other players. Like it was right on the front of the sideline.
What if somebody did that to Overton? I wonder what we do.
Probably so stunned. He's like, "What?" Probably think like somebody's giving him a buddy slap. It was so weird.
Yeah.
But it was his first game back kicking. I think he missed 3 kicks.
3 kicks.
They still won.
They did.
He hit the game winner.
Yeah, he did. He
They
did.
still won. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm watching the Broncos and the Chiefs.
Oh,
and
man.
yeah, you're just thinking the Broncos. Well, they've done it. How about that?
Yeah.
Did you watch the zoomed in TikTok of the left side of that line? The Broncos.
It got destroyed.
It looked like they just fell.
Yeah. Destroyed.
And yes, I'm sure it was destroying, but it looked like these guys just went whoop, and down they went.
Yeah.
And blocked it. Couldn't believe it. Crazy. I saw one bettor on DraftKings that bet like $150 right before the kick that the Chiefs would win. Won like $1,200.
No way.
Basically, he was betting on a block kick.
Yeah.
Like 10-1.
Jeez.
Yeah. So if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Oh, one other thing that I think is hilarious. I'll do it at the end. It's about wrestling, but it's so funny. What?
What? That's just so random wrestling.
Yeah, it's real good though. I think you guys are gonna like it. It's real good. Okay, so let's go to Mike. Do you want to do an interview? You want to do the recap of this parlay?
Oof.
Let's do the recap real quick. Yeah.
Well, I did not hit because I had Tennessee minus 24, and they did not cover. They did beat Mississippi State. Nobody cares about excuses, but I have a big one. My quarterback went out at halftime. They could have covered anyway. What's annoying?
Yeah.
They didn't even need they could have played with 10 men and covered. It's so stupid. Eddie hit Texas minus 21.5 at Florida. Reed hit South Carolina minus 4 at Vanderbilt. That's a weird game of like 2 family members. How do you root for both of them to win?
Yeah. I hate when we're in that spot.
I know. Me too.
It sucks.
Kevin, you lost too.
I know.
What did Kevin have?
BYU minus 3.5.
They won by 1.
Yeah, I saw that.
That, and I talked to Brandon about this in a second, and we can do that. The hold call I felt was legitimate. He was holding him.
Mm-hmm.
He literally was holding him. But it's just do you feel like referees should call it legitimately all the time, or there are certain times where and I don't think there's a right answer to that, except the right answer is they should call it exactly the same all the time, but that's not human nature.
Right.
He got sacked. The game was over, except it wasn't because the holding call. But maybe he got sacked because that receiver wasn't open because he was being held. Like this is what's playing through my mind the whole time. But I felt. Did you watch? Did you see if he was? Did you watch the play?
No, I mean I was asleep by then.
But did you see it on? You did see the?
I saw a
replay?
couple highlights of it.
It was so far away though. Every camera shot though was from across the field. Like I never saw one, and maybe there's one that exists now. But it was such a hold, and it was obvious it was a hold, that I got it. But I guess that ref has to make the decision, does this actually affect the play? And he threw it, and it did, and that sucks. I would have liked to have seen BYU lose. Because they're going to get one of the byes and get stomped. They're going to have a mud hole stomped in them if they're one of the 4 teams that gets one of the byes. You looking for it?
Yeah, like you're saying, every view is...
It's from across the
It
field.
ain't very good.
Yeah, it's from across the field. But you can still tell the corner's holding on to them. Okay, so, yeah, we did not hit. Sorry, everybody. We let you down again. It's kind of our thing.
That's what we're known for.
Yeah, our thing is letting people down.
We were close, though.
No,
I know it doesn't matter, but we were close. No, but both were close.
Both?
Oh.
Yeah, we can't do that. We just let them down.
I know.
So you should try out Pick 6, though. It's really cool by DraftKings. Select 2 more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. So we can talk about tonight. Dolphins at Rams. Stafford more or less than 257 passing yards. I think I'll go more there. Tua more or less than 244 passing yards. I go less there. Tyreek Hill more or less than 75 rushing yards. Or receiving yards. Receiving yards, excuse me.
I'm not even sure if he's going to play.
I don't. That's why I was held up too.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
You better.
You know what sucked? Oh, so anyway, if you think you can pick stats, go check out DraftKings Pick 6. It's awesome. But by the way, in fantasy, it's so stupid. They're like, okay, we know the IR is 4 weeks. guess what? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to play my guy. Texans, you watch the game? Did you watch Texans?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking, all right, well,
Your boy Nico.
Sorry, go ahead.
So
Yep.
when they screw us on that 7 o'clock game, there's nothing we can do because there's nobody I could put in to play. I had 3 players out on bye, and all I had was Nico.
This was a rough bye week situation,
It
fantasy-wise. Yeah.
That's all. That's the. I had to play Nico out because they called him out right before the game. They screwed us. That's all. Has nothing to do with our parlay. So stupid. Anyway, try DraftKings Pick 6. It's awesome. And if you think you can pick stats, more or less of stuff, it's the perfect one for you. Brandon, what's up, buddy?
What's going on?
I was reading your article this morning about Florida State firing both their coordinators and their wide receiver coach. How is Norvell going to last there?
It's a great question. You know, I think so. They're going to give him another year. You know, usually when coaches make a wholesale change like this late in the year, that means they're safe and that they've got to make some changes. And, you know, they got a bye week coming up. It's a perfect opportunity to make those changes and get the other staff members on board to handle the other duties. But, you know, it just kind of shows you how volatile it is in a coaching industry where, I mean, it isn't like these coordinators all of a sudden forgot how to coach. I mean, they coached an undefeated regular season team last year, and a lot of them got raises. And then this year, the production fell because of just how much they lost, but also how many transfers they had to bring in. And you got to make changes just from a face value to appease the boosters and everybody. But yeah, I think Mike Norvell's safe, but a lot of pressure going into next year. I mean, this is a guy that he's only had a winning record when Jordan Travis has been his quarterback at Florida State. All the other years and games, they've had a losing record. And so next year is kind of a prove-it point for him.
Florida football does not seem to be going well in general, as far as Florida and Florida State. And then, are they going to keep Florida stable as well and give him another year? I mean, I know they said they are, but will that last?
I think so. I think that this is a money thing for them, right? We're getting into the revenue sharing era. Florida is going to have to start spending $20.5 million a year on their new line item in their athletics department to pay players. And so when you look at Billy Napier, his buyout, I think, is going to be a little bit north of $26 million. So you're talking about nearly $50 million you'd have to spend on just maintaining the status quo and to be able to open the door to get a new coach in there, which would cost you even more money to bring someone in, and you'd be starting over once again. I think a lot of programs out there see this new revenue sharing era as an opportunity to kind of reset the coaching market. And by that, I mean, we've been in this weird era where we've been allowing agents to kind of hang huge paydays and buyouts over the AD's heads. And I think those days are over. You're not going to be able to, settle something up where you got a $75 million buyout like a Jimbo Fisher anymore. These athletic departments just don't want to spend that type of money anyway, but they're especially not going to be able to now with the revenue sharing with players. So I think coaching contracts are going to start being squeezed a little bit with these new hires being made starting this year. And when it comes to Billy Napier and programs like that, where they might have fired him in any other year without revenue sharing, I think this is an opportunity for them to kind of refocus their money on NIL and with players in the transfer portal. They're going to try and do everything they can and focus all that to try and turn things around and make a good effort for it next year under Billy Napier. I think a lot of programs out there that are kind of on the fence about making changes will end up keeping their coach just so that they can put more money into buying players, so to speak, going into next year.
This is totally speculative on my part, and I know nothing about it. However, any chance that Napier at Florida isn't getting fired because they don't want to look for a basketball coach and a football coach at the same time after the accusations about the basketball coach?
I don't know, maybe, but, it's interesting the timing that all finally came out with Todd Golden, the allegations being had out there, came out after Napier was assured that he would be coming back for next year. But this is an investigation that's apparently been going on since August internally with the Title IX investigation there. And this is an issue for Scott Strickland long-term as the AD because He's previously had internal strife and investigations with the soccer coach, who ended up getting let go a few years ago, and the women's basketball coach. Similarly, the previous one, I should say, that they ended up having to let go as well. So he's had a string of issues within an athletics department among his leadership that he's had to make decisions and make changes. And I think it's very clear that if he made the decision at this point to get rid of Napier, that it probably meant that Strickland was going to be on his way out too, because those two are tied at the hip. I mean, if Strickland survives all this with the Todd Golden allegations and everything, very much next year, his job is going to depend on whether Billy Napier wins as the football coach.
Let's talk about LSU, Alabama. I watched most of the game until it got out of hand. I feel like Alabama just owns LSU. And like, they're not afraid of going down. It doesn't matter where they play, if it's Tuscaloosa or Death Valley. And like, they just go in, they do their thing, they run the ball. They couldn't stop the quarterback. LSU couldn't stop the quarterback. It was raining. It was just like the game I felt LSU knew they would win going into it. Your thoughts? Oh, excuse me, Alabama.
Yeah,
Alabama knew they would win, not LSU.
Yeah, same way. I mean, Alabama has owned them down in Baton Rouge anyway. And, you know, you looked at the line going in. Alabama was a slight favorite. I think that told you everything you need to know. It was a night game at LSU, all the hype, and yet Alabama was still favored. And that told you everything Vegas thought about the Tide against the Tigers. And listen, it's not very often you see LSU fans leaving the game late in the third quarter, before even the final quarter, and they were streaming out of the stands. I mean, that place was dominated by Alabama fans in the fourth quarter. And LSU's got problems defensively. They have not been able to really slow down any dual-threat quarterbacks this year. Lenora Sellers at South Carolina they struggled against. Obviously, Marcello Reed, when he came in the second half at Texas A&M, and they end up rallying from a 10-point deficit to win by double digits themselves against LSU. And then Jalen Milroe, I mean, goodness gracious, nearly 200 yards rushing at quarterback, had 4 touchdowns. First quarterback since 2000 to score 4 touchdowns rushing against the same opponent in back-to-back years. LSU's got a problem against dual-threat quarterbacks, and that just set up perfectly. It was a perfect matchup for Alabama. And also, big credit to Alabama's defense. The last 2 games, they've been incredible. They shut out Mizzou, and in garbage time, they allowed a touchdown against LSU, but wasn't really allowing a touchdown at all with their starters in the game. They're playing elite defense for the first time all season, and what better time to do it than in the final month of the regular season as they make a push to the playoff.
I was watching Brian Kelly's post game, and he was like, listen, we had a scheme. We worked on it for 2 weeks. We just weren't able to stop them. Any chance that he's starting his seat warming up a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they make a change, obviously, this year, but they give him another year here. You know, what's really frustrating for him is that the third year of every program he's led has really either been the peak or like the watermark of what their expectation is as a program moving forward. He's won double-digit games every year in year 3 in previous spots. He's had 2 undefeated regular season records in his third year elsewhere, including the Notre Dame team that went to the national championship game. And then this year, you expected them to at least win 10 games, and now they're looking like they won't do that unless they win out, including their bowl game. I mean, listen, he's the winningest active coach as far as just consistency. I mean, he's won 10 games in 7 straight seasons, which leads all of college football. And now it's all of a sudden we're starting to see little dings in the armor for him. And this has been something that's going on since week 1. Remember him slamming his fist against the table saying he can't figure it out, what's going on? It's been like that every week for them. I'm starting to wonder if LSU is turning into more of an inconsistent program that we saw back in the 90s, if you remember that, the pre-Saban era at LSU, where they had the talent because it was Louisiana, but they were so inconsistent year to year. You could expect them to maybe challenge in the SEC, but then some years they were really down. I wonder if we're getting back to that with LSU, especially because other programs have more talent now because of the transfer portal, because of NIL. Everybody else seems to have taken a step forward, and LSU's just stagnant. They're kind of just standing there being what they've always been. And under Brian Kelly, you expected them to take a step forward, to figure this all out here these last 3 years, to kind of stay in lockstep with everybody else. But it seems to me they're falling behind a little bit.
last comment about the game, and we can't make excuses, but I think the rain, like when it was 14-3, then 14-6, it still felt like LSU was in the mix. That fumble that was near the end zone, I mean, a wet ball from a team that throws a lot. Do you feel like that hurt LSU? Like, you can't predict the weather, right? But still, I think that game was just so made for Alabama and how they played ball. I mean, but especially as much as they ran the ball.
Yeah, Alabama's a better running team, not just obviously with Miller at quarterback, but also at running back. LSU knew going into this game they needed to run the ball more. The last couple of weeks they've been trying to focus on that with Cade Durham, their young running back, but they couldn't quite get it going against Bama. So then you revert back to Garrett Nussmeier in this passing offense. And, Nussmeier hasn't been great all season. He's thrown, I think, like 2+ interceptions in 4 of the last 5 games. He's really struggling out there. That one pick by Deontay Lawson in the end zone there late was kind of, not to say it was a fluke, but he just didn't see him. And he threw it and he jumped up and got it. And, but you can't have, and that's the thing with LSU. When they make mistakes, they always make them in like the big critical situations. I mean, they made a long drive. You get down to inside the 10 and then you throw a pick. You have a fumble. Those are the things, obviously, are not going to win you games, but especially against the likes of Alabama. And they just don't have a gamer at quarterback. I thought Garrett Nussmeier was going to be so much better this year for them and continue that long trend they've had of great quarterbacks. But it seems like the moment's been too big for him in these big games.
That's how I throw interceptions on Madden all the time. I don't see that linebacker, and that linebacker just jumps up. Like, again, he just didn't see him, and he just jumped up, took it, game over. Let's talk about Georgia interceptions. I mean, dude, does Carson Beck suck now?
Yeah, I mean, listen, no quarterback. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, he's regressed, and no quarterback in the last 4 to 5 years has thrown more interceptions than him in a 6-game stretch in the SEC. He's thrown, I think, 12 or 10 to 12 in the last 6 games. Insane stretch here. He's really struggling. And the problem is, like, we knew going into this year, like, what's he going to look like at quarterback when he doesn't have Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers, 2 of the better receivers and tight ends to ever come through Georgia, let alone the SEC. And he hasn't found a go-to threat. Their receivers are not elite. He's got like one great receiver and everybody else is just kind of good. And you can tell he just doesn't have a lot of confidence in them. But what's also hurting Georgia this year is that their offensive line is not great. It has really regressed as well. So you mix that all up, and Carson Beck's gone from a quarterback who last year made the quickest decisions out of anybody in the country. He had the fastest release of the football from his hand in all of college football, according to the analytics. And it just isn't there this year because he doesn't have the confidence in his receivers and then also that offensive line. And he's regressed. He's tumbling down those NFL draft boards this year.
He just says, they said that like 8 times in the broadcast. Like, you rarely hear announcers talk about draft stock. And it's like every series, Carson Beck's falling down. He will not be a first rounder. He also has like a weird, and it's only weird because he's so goofy, that full arm sleeve on such a goofy dude. And maybe if he didn't throw so many interceptions, I wouldn't think it was so bad. But if you have something bold like a full arm sleeve, like, you got to be good.
You got to be really good, and you got to be a baller. You got to be out there just absolutely slinging the ball every game and doing things. And it's like it doesn't fit his personality. It'd be like me going, walking around with a arm sleeve filing stories on Saturdays. Like, dude, what are you doing, man? He ain't cool just because it looks cool on everybody else. You got to have the swagger. You got to have the winning attitude. You got to be great to pull that off. And man, he's a big target out there, and also because of who his girlfriend is. I mean, he's just the type of guy that's going to get a lot of attention anyway. But man, when you're not doing so well and you're sucking, boy, there's a big target on you. And
he doesn't have a good face for an arm sleeve. Like, you also need a good face to have a full arm sleeve, and he has a kind of a goofy. Take it from another guy who has a goofy face. He has kind of a goofy face, and he, if you're going to throw interceptions and you have a goofy face, maybe not an arm sleeve. Hey, is Georgia done? Are they done in the college football playoff?
No, because they get Tennessee this week, so. They beat Tennessee this week at home. They're very much still in it and could potentially still get to Atlanta. The SEC's a mess. I mean, we still have an opportunity here for an 8-way tie in the SEC going into the SEC championship game. Good luck figuring out the tiebreakers there. They're going to have to bring out the world's best mathematicians if that happens.
They should just use the electoral college
and win out.
Use the electoral college and let's figure out who won the thing.
There you go. But, if they win out, they're still going to be in the playoffs. It's just, I thought, I was telling someone this earlier. It just seemed like we were so used to Georgia just being like the same type of team year after year after year. And the problem is this isn't a photocopy of previous Georgia teams. This is a photocopy of a photocopy. And the resolution has gone down big time.
I watched probably a quarter and a half of the Utah BYU game. I did watch the end of the game. I saw the sack. I thought it was over. They called the hold on the corner. And only in clips the next day did I watch the Utah AD come out and go, all right, basically Big 12 sucks. He was like, we have a problem. What are your thoughts? Because I do feel like that was a hold. Again, the only angle I could see though on the replay was like the far angle from the other side of the field. I do feel like it was a bit of a hold. There's also, should they have called it then? Just give me your thoughts on that play, that game, and then the AD saying that after the game.
Yeah, officials usually keep the flag tucked into their belts in big situations like that, especially on the final down and back up in the end zone like that. But this is two games I've seen this year where officials changed potentially the outcome of the game. I go back to Ohio State, Oregon. The refs there got flag happy on Ohio State's final drive to kind of help extend the drive for them. And then Oregon ended up winning anyway, so they wasn't a big issue. But in this game, you kind of wonder, well, what are we doing? They keep the flag in your pants there a little bit. That changed the outcome of the game, obviously. I can understand why the Utah AD was very upset. He's very out there. He's willing to speak his mind. This isn't the first time he's spoken his mind. It's just that he's never really come out and be so critical of his conference. And it's probably best to not do that when it's your first year in the Big 12 in your new home to be doing that. And so he gets fined $40,000, which, listen, ADs make a lot of money, but it's not that much money. I do wonder, if going into that press conference, a booster walked up to him and said, hey,
I got you.
I will pay whatever fine you got to pay, but go in there and rip these officials. This is complete BS.
He did. I mean, he went hard, specifically called out the conference. I liked it. It probably was a hold, but the quarter, it was just so late in the game. Like, it's ballsy to make a call like that as a ref, knowing it's going to change the entire. Again, they still had to make the drive, but that was a tough call for that ref, unless he knew somebody that had some money on it. That's all I'm saying. Okay, final question for you here. Let's do this. Man, I have so much. Okay, let's do Indiana. That was I'll say a gritty game, kind of a boring game to watch as far as like if you wanted to see points. A lot of defense, special teams, especially with Indiana. Indiana beats Michigan. That's a win, 2015. Indiana's now 10-0 for the first time ever. They're probably in the playoff, right? Even if they lose to Ohio State?
I think so. Does the committee think that? Because I have Indiana ranked ahead of Penn State in my rankings, but the committee last week did not. And I think we can all agree that the Big Ten's obviously going to get 3 teams in. Maybe they get 4 in. But are we setting ourselves up for a potential where we're going, well, should the Big Ten really get 4 teams in? And is that 4th team Indiana? And if it's that, I wonder at that point the committee will start comparing scores. And by that I mean, what is Indiana's result coming up in 2 weeks against Ohio State compared to Penn State losing by 1 touchdown to Ohio State? No one should be comparing scores for that matter. In my opinion, if Indiana just finishes with 1 loss and misses the Big Ten championship game, they should still be in the playoff. They played the schedule that was given to them. They've beaten everybody by 14 points or more other than Michigan so far this season. They deserve to be in. But some red flags came up in that game for me. The offense, which has been so explosive against everybody this year, had only 18 yards in the second half against Michigan. Their best receiver, Elijah Surratt, dropped 2 big passes in the fourth quarter that could have really iced that game away. But having said all that, even with it quote-unquote being a 5-point game, I never really felt like Indiana was in threat of losing that game because of the way Michigan's offense is set up. They're just not very good. And so I think that this game could potentially kind of help Indiana because now they finally see some of their weaknesses get exposed. But, man, it's going to be very difficult for them in 2 weeks, having to go on the road to Ohio State, a program where they're 0-30-1 against in their last 31 meetings against Ohio State. But this is a historic year for Indiana. If they lose that game, I still think they should be a playoff team.
What if they lose by 40?
then we start talking about that comparing scores thing. I guarantee you, without saying it, the playoff committee will weigh that. And that's going to be, there could potentially be controversy there. But again, the Big Ten might get 4 teams in the playoff anyway, and it'll be a moot point.
Go read Brandon's article. It's really good on Florida State, firing both coordinators, a wide receiver coach. Follow Brandon on Instagram at Brandon Marcello. Brandon, good to talk to you at 247 Sports. Hey, do you guys internally call it 24/7 or 247?
24/7.
Me too. And then I get corrected, and I'm like, let me ask somebody who actually works there.
Who corrects you?
Everybody on Earth, basically. Everybody on Earth.
Just don't call it 247. I've had people do that to me before. I'm like, what world did you grow up on? We need to get you tested for alien DNA.
They on an interstate? They on a highway? Yes. At Brandon Marcello. Brandon, good to talk to you, buddy. See you soon.
All right, see you.
All right, let's go to Coach Brent Key. A big win for Georgia Tech. Thank God.
Mm-hmm. It was time.
But you know what? Miami still might get that bye and be one of those top 4. But thank God. It just was. But at the end, it almost happened again. It was crazy. I was like, this can't be happening every single time. But we talked to Coach Brent Key a little earlier today. Fresh off a big win against the number 4 team in the country, the Miami Hurricanes. Now, Coach Key was an all-conference lineman at Georgia Tech in the early 2000s. And Saturday was the program's first win against the top 5 team since 2009. Big thanks to Coach for taking some time because we know it's a busy day. After you have a big win, everybody wants to talk to you. And he gave us 15, 20 minutes. So he's awesome. Go Jackets. That's what they say.
Yeah, Jackets.
That's what he said at the end of the interview. Everybody has their thing. His is Go Jackets.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty vague, but I like it.
No, Yellow Jackets.
I get that, but it could be any kind of jacket. Why don't you say like Go Yellow Jackets?
Too many syllables. Too many syllables.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
By the time you finish that, like they're a commercial. Already.
That's true. Never mind.
All right, here he is, head coach Brent Key. Hey, Coach, congrats on the win. I was watching the game, and I hope that you'll be honest with me here. And they were talking to you in the middle of the game. It looked like you hate that in-game interview. What are your thoughts when they pull you to the side right in the middle of the game to like talk to you when you're having to make big decisions?
Well, if you want real raw and uncut of what a coach is, that's the best time to do it, I guess. I mean, it's in the middle of play, and let me get my Pepto-Bismol and stuff out of the way from behind me. That's probably the best answer you can see right there, right?
It just looks like you're in the middle of it, and they're like, "Okay, Coach, you got to get on the field and give this interview." And you're like, "I got a game to coach," so you're giving the answers you can give to get out of there the quickest. It feels like a bit like when I have to do a red carpet. Like, I don't really want to give them any real answers. I just want to get out of there, but I still want to be like, nice and cordial. Do you like the implementation of the in-game interviews?
I like it. I mean, if I'm a fan, I would like it. I mean, it's not like being on the red carpet or anything. I mean, holy cow! I mean, that's like, hey, that was a harmless little drop you threw right there. Now,
well, that's my way to relate and show. I'm just I have to wear clothes that are a little tighter. Other than that, like that was an awesome game. I did feel like after watching Miami play just about every game throughout the whole season, they were going to pull these miracle heroics again. Obviously, you've watched every probably snap that Miami has played all year leading into this game. In your head, are you thinking, especially there at the end, like, oh God, they're just Destiny's team? Or are you guys like, we got this?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of confidence in the plan. I had a lot of confidence in the players. And even up to the last drive, wish we'd been able to close it out on offense with the offense on the field when we got the ball back with 6 minutes, but weren't able to. We gave it back. The defense had a chance to put it in their hands. Had confidence in them. There are times in the game you're holding on to your breath and hoping everything works out. They make a mistake, but I was confident our guys were going to make a play, and they did.
How did you guys prepare for the quarterback play? Because he's been. He was a Heisman front runner or second, depending on where you were looking up until this game. How did you plan differently with him?
Well, when you asked about the quarterback play, I was going to tell you about our quarterback play.
Well, I'm getting there for that's like the grand finale of like how awesome it was. But like first, like you showed it. I was talking about your defense. Like you guys played really well.
Yeah, we knew going into the game. I mean, Cam, he's a tremendous player. I mean, he is a talented young man. He's got good weapons around him. The biggest thing with him is when he takes off and scrambles and starts running, I mean, he's looking to throw, and that's where so many of their big plays had occurred in the previous games. And, we did a good job on the back end of staying on our man, plastering our man, keeping everything in front of us. And I think it was really the second or third efforts by the guys up front on the D line that allowed the pressure to get to him, and then eventually some of the sacks.
What do you say at halftime? Because you guys were leading, I think, pretty much the whole game. Anytime I was on, you guys were up. What do you say at halftime to the guys? Do you have to change your game plan at all? What did you learn in the first half?
So we actually went into that game with a little different philosophy. Obviously, we had two different sort of game plans for the two quarterbacks. And then we went into that game playing that game in 4 individual quarters. And I wanted, after each quarter, the team to get together, to rally up, and put that quarter behind them, whether you're up, whether you're down, and play the next quarter in 15-minute increments. And that's what they did. We come in at halftime, and it really, to us, we were going out to play a new game. We had a separate game plan in a lot of ways in the second half. So, and actually, you're looking at, we put 4 offensive game plans together for that game. 2 for each quarterback and 2 for each halves.
Are there parts of the playbook now, offensively and defensively, that you're just now exposing that you have saved until this point of the year? Or if things aren't going well earlier in the season, you're like, screw it, let's just get to some of the stuff we were saving for later. How does that work?
Yeah, you put everything in. I'm a believer in putting it all in the beginning, and then as much as your players can handle, of course, and then being able to use and pick and do things as the season goes on that are best for that opponent and that game plan. But going into this one, it was a little different because of the quarterback situation on our end, that we had to pull a few things out that probably hadn't used before. Talk
about Haynes King. He was legit.
I can't say enough good things about him. I mean, you talk about he's a warrior on the field. Before he got hurt, 4 weeks ago, he was playing as good a football as anybody out there. Continued to play after he was hurt by running the ball. We get him in the game this week, and this kid was playing now. There was no 2 ways about it. I don't care what was said. He was going to play in that game, whether he could throw the ball or not. And just his presence alone. Somebody sent me a clip last night of him talking to a player on the other team. Just the competitiveness in him, the fire in him, the way he raises everybody up around him. He's one of the toughest people I've ever been around. One of the greatest leaders of any college quarterback I've been around.
How long after the game until you go back and watch the game?
Let me see. After press, come up to my office, get back home. I got home probably, I don't know, it's probably within 2.5 hours, probably I'm at my home office watching the game.
If it's a loss, is it a different timetable? Will you wait? Will you bury the tape type of thing ever?
No, not at all. You got to learn from your failures. You got to learn when you make mistakes. You got to learn how to, what you did wrong. And look, whether you win a game or lose a game, the processes afterwards don't change. You can't change your processes because look, there's plenty of mistakes in that game. They made a couple plays, or we made a couple plays. They didn't make a couple plays. If it's flipped the other way, are you just going to totally treat it different? No, you got to treat it the same. And you got to be able to handle success and failures both the same. They both can be distractions in your life for sure.
Hey, speaking of distractions, when you guys go to Ireland at the beginning of the year, what was that like? Because how far ahead did you get over? Did you feel like the guys were on a different sleep schedule? Like, would you want to do that again?
Yeah, I thought it was a great opportunity for our kids. It was a great opportunity to showcase our program on a national stage. We went over there on Wednesday night, got there Thursday morning, went to practice, had meetings, really kind of business as usual once we were there. Normal day pretty much on Friday. Had the game on Saturday and flew back Sunday morning. We left out of there, I think, at 9 a.m. on Sunday out of Dublin, and we were back here in Atlanta. Guys were in the weight room about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, working out, stretch and stride, meeting, doing walkthroughs for the next week's game. So it was a great experience. But we went over there to play a game and to win a game, and so we'll go back another time to do all the sightseeing.
Oh, so they got to do no sightseeing? Oh no. Wow. So they got nothing. They no castles. They didn't get like a double-decker bus to go show them like Game of Thrones castle or anything, Coach?
No.
Oh, come on.
He's serious. No.
I'm serious. The fans went over there. It was a great experience for the fans. They had nice. They had a big pep rally downtown. I'm sure they went to Guinness and Jameson and all the different places over there. I think they gave us a souvenir Teeling's whiskey to come back. So no, it was a great experience because we got to go over and show our brand in a different part of the world. Where you talk about I love Ireland. I love the people of Dublin. I think there's a lot of similarities between the blue collar work mentality that they have over there, and who we are as a program at Georgia Tech, and who we are as a football program.
You think you'd have made any NIL money, Coach? You're a captain. This is your program. You're coaching it now. Back in the day, 4-year guy, would you think you'd have made any NIL money as offensive lineman?
Not like you're making, Bobby. I mean, come on.
I agree. Listen, I never compared the two. I would agree, Coach. I'm walking red carpets over here. You know what I mean?
I tell you, man. Hey, I grew up listening to you, man. Like I've listened to you for a long time, so this is pretty cool.
Wait, where living in what? Birmingham?
Yeah, I grew up in Birmingham and came over here. Went to college here. Coached at UCF for 12 years. Then University of Alabama. And I'm just a redneck from Birmingham that's found my way here. And, got a bunch of good people around me.
And you didn't even let your kids explore Ireland. Like that's the part to me. I'm like, dang, because we were in where were we? Rome, and then we saw a couple basketball teams that were playing a basketball tournament up there. And I was like, that'd have been cool. Like Coach let you go out, have some ice cream, and then just to find out, Coach didn't even let them go out in Ireland to see anything. Man.
Well, I'm sure after the game they went out and explored a little bit.
Okay, let me ask you, post game, when you talk to your players, obviously you have 2 more games coming up. 2 big games coming. I think NC State, Georgia, if I'm going from memory, right? Is that 2 games?
Right.
How do you make sure they're not overly excited about a win and they start focusing ahead?
Well, that's the thing. I hope we've learned lessons in the past and of winning games like this. And you got to put them behind you. And you got to put them behind you. Myself, number one, as the head coach. The staff, the players. And take the good and what comes out of a good win like this and be able to utilize it for the future and be able to, so you can reap those same benefits and same rewards. But we have 2 big games, big conference game on next Thursday night here in Atlanta, and then a game the following Friday against the other team here in the state. And so it'll be, we got a good stretch coming up here at the end.
Do you depend on players to patrol that a bit, like your leaders, to make sure to have these conversations with some of the younger players?
You do, yeah. I truly believe that I want to have players to have ownership in the program, and they understand with ownership comes a lot of responsibility, and then the accountability that comes along with the responsibility. So they've got to be accountable for their actions. They got to be responsible for the others on the team. We have a good core group of leaders on our team, and we got good kids. So are they all straight shooters? No, I don't want it that way. I want guys to be accountable to each other, though, and understand why they're in school. And you're in school to graduate from college and to win football games. And if you do anything that's going to jeopardize doing either one of those, you shouldn't be doing it.
You'll see why I'm asking this question, but how do you guys pick your captains?
So each week, we pick different ones. Here coming up, we will have we'll vote this week on permanent team captains for the season, and that'll be a group vote for all the players. But each week it's a lot of different things. I mean, it's a lot of seniors, like a lot of guys in leadership. One week I did all walk-ons or former walk-ons that are important to the program. Special teams, offense, defense. So just guys that, and sometimes it's guys that need to have, big games. So this past week, Haynes King, Kyle Eifert, Jamal Haynes, and then Trinelius Tatum and Trent's a guy who's been here for 4 years, plays linebacker for us, and went out and had a really good football game, and he needed to, and he did.
Because you were a captain back in the day, if I'm correct. Do you ever feel like I'd wear that C still, just to let them know? Because sometimes kids don't know. Sometimes they forget. They don't know. They think coach just saying stuff. But I would wear the C on my sweatshirt. I just throwing that idea. I think it'd be a great idea, Coach.
Well, if you're a captain, that means you have leadership qualities. And if you have leadership qualities, you don't need to tell people that you're a leader. They should know it.
Yeah, Bones.
Great. I just got told. Although I think if he was wearing a C, I would think it meant coach. I wouldn't even think
Double
captain.
meaning.
Yeah, I would have C for captain and put the years down there. But yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
point,
right.
Coach. Yeah. Eddie?
Have it sewn on your Letterman's coat.
Yes, I would still wear that. I did. Hey, Coach, when I was in college, my first year, I still wore my Letterman's jacket from high school because I was only a mediocre high school football player, and I got told real quick only losers do that. So I stopped I stopped doing that. I wear it on my wife sometimes to be funny, but other than that,
I'm just waiting for it to get cold so I can wear mine.
Yeah. Eddie.
Yeah, Coach. What's Georgia Tech like? I've never been there. Like, you went to school there. Now you're the head coach there. Like, explain to me what it stands for, what it's like to go to school there, and what it's like to play for Georgia Tech.
Yeah. So, well, if you've never been here, hey, you both have invitation from me. All right, please. Love for you guys to come here, visit us. It's truly a special place. A lot of people think that it's in Atlanta and that it's in the city, and yeah, it is. But really, the way this place was built, Midtown Atlanta was built around Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's been here longer than Midtown Atlanta has, so it's its own campus within the city, which is really cool. The things you learn here. I mean, just to go to school here to learn. I mean, look, I'm not sitting here going to tell you that I've used anything, the chemistry equations or math or anything like that I've from college, but what Georgia Tech does, it teaches you how to, figure things out, how to solve problems. I look at Georgia Tech as it's technology, and technology is in everybody. I mean, the greatest piece of technology in the world is in everybody's hand and pocket all the time right now. So, it just so happens one of my teammates that I played here with, invented the camera and all the technology in the camera on the iPhone. So, I mean, that's what technology is. That's what Georgia Tech is. If you envision the old school, steam engine coming down the tracks and it busts through the mountain on the other side, it's the supersonic bullet train. That's kind of the past and the present of what Georgia Tech football is.
And that sounds deep.
It's really deep.
That's like an intro of a book, like something like a bullet train. You lost me, but but probably because it was a little too advanced for me, Coach. Congratulations. It was an awesome game. Awesome win. I watched almost the whole game. I was rooting for you guys big time. I hope you guys beat the crap out of North Carolina State and Georgia. And Coach, thank you for the time, and congrats on so far a pretty strong season. Looking forward to seeing where you guys end up bowling.
Really appreciate it, man. It's an honor to be on here. Like I said, I've listened for many, many years, so appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. Have a good day.
All right, thanks, y'all. Go Jackets.
All right, thanks to Coach Key. A couple things I wanted to bring up. One, so the kicker for the Lions has kind of been on it last couple weeks, like making game-winning kicks. So Jake Bates is his name, and how I know about Jake Bates is he played at Arkansas, but he wasn't the field goal kicker. He was only the kickoff specialist.
Oh.
He didn't kick field goals for us.
Really?
Yes. So he may have kicked a couple, but he was not our field goal kicker. But he's hit a couple game winners for the Lions. It's just a very interesting story. The one that he hit against the Texans was a 52-yarder. They end up winning the game. He played soccer at Central Arkansas for 2 years. In college, he started freshman and sophomore. Almost all of his soccer, are they matches or games?
Soccer matches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then he transferred to Texas State from playing soccer at Central Arkansas. So we know Texas State, San Marcos.
Yeah.
That's where we'd spent a lot of our adult life. And so he made the team as a kickoff specialist. He did not kick field goals at Texas State because he could just kick far. So from there, he went to Arkansas. He earned first team All-SEC honors as a kickoff specialist, wow. Not a kicker. He just puts a tee up and kicks out the back of the end zone every single time.
Was he playing the same time as Cam Little?
Yeah, I think they crossed over a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
2 years ago, right? Is that what it was? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After his college career was over, again, he was only kicking off. He went undrafted. And he tried out for the Texans, did not make the cut. He went on to the UFL and played for the Michigan Panthers. But he kicked field goals for the Michigan Panthers.
Wow.
Then in June of this year, he may have the longest kick in like UFL history or something, but the UFL's only been around for like, I don't know, a week.
Year and a half. yeah, that's the history of it. 2 weeks.
Then he signed a 2-year deal with Detroit. He's 14 for 14 on field goals, including 3 from 50 yards or more.
Wow.
Never crazy.
64 yards. Longest.
UFL?
Yeah.
Yeah. So never was a field goal kicker. By the way, was literally a soccer player. And then just kicked the ball far. So kicked the ball far at Texas State, kicked the ball far at Arkansas, and then just started kicking field goals, but wasn't the kicker. Isn't that crazy?
That's really crazy.
I think he was the backup kicker everywhere. He was a kickoff specialist in case somebody went down.
Probably.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's a amazing story.
Well, it's like the Cowboys kicker, Brandon Aubrey. He played soccer at Notre Dame. He never played football until he played, I think, for UFL.
Yeah, I think same.
Same kind of route, which is what they're taking now, I guess.
I watched it I don't think that's what they're taking. I think that's such a rare story that it's a story.
Well, we just mentioned 2 of them in like 2 minutes, so I thought like, well, maybe more people are doing that.
That's why we know them though, because it's a weird. Yeah. I did watch a bunch of female soccer players. I forget what university, seeing how long they could make a kick with a soccer ball, and one girl made a 45-yard field goal with a soccer ball. They were just nailing. It was awesome. I don't know if a soccer ball is harder or easier to kick. I can't kick anything. But it's pretty cool. There was the kicker at Vanderbilt was a woman.
I remember that.
She was a soccer player.
Yeah.
So there's 3.
And we had one in high school.
Kathy Ireland.
Kathy Ireland from the movie.
When I was a freshman, our high school kicker.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She good?
She's female. Yeah, she's pretty good.
I guess she'd be better than the other guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Quickly, let's run down these NFL games if we care at all. Panthers Giants is a garbage battle of garbage. Panthers won. How about your Patriots? They beat the Bears. That story though is not the Patriots beating the Bears. That story is the Bears cannot score a touchdown.
It's rough.
142 yards total.
It's real bad. I didn't realize how bad it was because again, you're watching on Red Zone.
And there wasn't much to watch because there was no red zone.
Really bad. Like they haven't scored a touchdown, and there was some point they were talking about specifically. They haven't scored a touchdown in so many drives. But yeah, that is a bad offense.
The Hail Mary, I think.
I was going to say that's the turning point. Yeah.
The Jaden.
Daniels Hail Mary. They haven't been the same since.
Bills and Colts. That was an ugly game.
Ugly. Kind of got close there in a minute.
It did. Yeah. There were like a bunch of interceptions. Flacco interception. That was an ugly game.
I think the Flacco magic's. I think it's done.
Bills win that one. Broncos lose to the Chiefs on a game-winning block, which is cool. You rarely see blocked field goals, but to see one at the end of a game and to actually watch it yourself instead of watching it on a clip is different too. Because if you're watching a clip, you're like, why would they be showing this field goal unless they?
Fair.
Oh, it was awesome. And then Patrick Mahomes is running right. It's amazing. It's amazing. Saints and Falcons. I don't know. That game was kind of garbage too.
Yeah.
Like Saints won. Congratulations. They fired Dennis Allen. They won the game. That's cool.
Yeah.
Falcons did not look good. And Drake London's kind of hurt.
Right.
49ers Bucks. That's what I'm gonna say. I know the Niners won. That stiff arm that Baker Mayfield put on Bosa and held
awesome.
That whole drive.
Yeah.
He was playing out of his brains. So Bucks lost the game, but I think the Bucks.
It's a shame that they're all hurt. All the receivers.
They have
Yeah,
they're good.
They are good.
Yeah, Baker plays hard, man.
He's the man. I would love him on my team.
Steelers Commanders. Hey, how about that they drew him off sides?
Oh my gosh.
How do you fall for that?
And
I don't understand. The one thing you cannot do right now is jump off sides.
Right. I know. That guy felt so bad too.
And then did you see Russell Wilson
dancing?
Just dancing.
He did like the fingers.
Yeah, like a windshield wiper. Like, what's he doing?
I think since he started, and I think they said it on the broadcast, he has the highest passer rating or highest quarterback rating of anybody in the NFL.
He made some great throws in that game.
Mike Williams. How about this guy? Game-winning touchdown.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, sorry, Casey.
Don't worry, we'll get there. The Vikings and Jags was a disaster of a game. They did not score a touchdown. The Vikings won. They did not score a touchdown. They threw 3 interceptions.
That's the Sam Darnold that I remember.
And your old quarterback started, Kevin.
Yeah, your boy Mac,
I know.
man. Yeah.
They get 1 pick. I know that.
Those helmets are terrible for Jacksonville. They should
You don't like them?
They should not wear the shell helmets.
I like
They
them.
look like they're dirty and white. Not just white. They they just look dirty.
It took me a minute to realize who was even playing, but I liked them.
Yeah. Every time I go to them.
I was like, what? Okay.
The explanation was they were like seashell colored. They're not full white. They were
Seashell.
like seashell because of Jacksonville in the ocean.
The Floridian coast. Okay.
Yes. Chargers, Titans. I watched about Cowboys were on at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was,
afternoon
I
games.
was flipping back and forth. I just never expected the Titans to be in it.
Mm-mm.
So I just didn't invest a lot of like intellectual.
You didn't miss much, really.
No.
I made not a single note.
It was a boring game.
I made not a single note.
Yeah. Herbert looked good.
I saw Herbert run the touchdown in the running play, whatever.
Yeah.
That was
Quarterback
good.
draw, I think. Yeah.
He made a couple good cuts to like showed some athletic ability there. Look at me out there. Eagles, Cowboys. You know where we're getting, Casey. Dude, so the Jets are dead.
The Jets are officially dead.
And it was not close.
No. Also, just can we just stop with like the Sauce Gardner thing? Like, I think he's lost his sauce. You know,
can't-
like
he
now
can't
he's just
tackle for
Ahmed.
crap. He can't
He's just
tackle for-
Ahmed. He goes by his first name.
That Trey McBride play was unbelievable.
Oh
yeah,
dude, that was wild.
Yeah.
Like he jumped
Yeah, he
and
broke
then
Sauce.
broke. Oh, yeah.
And then jumped.
Yeah, he's a dude.
Yeah,
So is
defense
Sauce not his real name?
No, that's his. It's his moniker.
Got it.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray looks so small.
I thought he died.
You saw when he got rocked.
I want to tell him. Yeah.
I thought he died.
rocked.
That guy was unblocked too, so it wasn't even like somebody missed an assignment.
Yeah.
And he hit so hard his helmet flew off, and then he was like smiling after, like, thank God it's okay. But then I thought, is he smiling because like he doesn't know who he is?
It's just like
the Joker.
Right.
And then the Lions beat the Texans.
That was a good game.
Goff threw 5 picks.
How many?
Five picks.
Total, there were a lot of interceptions, right?
Yeah.
Texans, they are not playing well.
No, but that division is so bad that they're still
It's
going to
true.
win.
And the Texans are also missing pretty much everybody because I think
Yeah.
is Tank Dell gone?
He played last night.
he
Well,
did
did he get
last
hurt
night.
last night?
No. I'm not
No, he
thinking Tank
played.
Dell. I'm thinking of the other two
Diggs.
receivers.
Diggs
I'm thinking
got
of
his
Diggs is
ACL.
gone and
Nico
sucks.
But they
Maybe
looked
back.
good last night. Like they were fired up, the crowd, but they just couldn't score touchdowns.
No.
And you were like, as soon as they couldn't score for the third time, you're like, man, the Lions are going to come back at some point.
I can't believe they threw that many interceptions.
It was a lot. Back and forth.
It's so bad.
Okay, I think we're done here. Did we already go to break, Mike, or no? A second break?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I'd like to talk about wrestling for a second. You can go hit the music because I'm going to end on this. It's my favorite thing. So, back in the day, and I think even if you don't really know wrestling, you'll remember, for sure you know The Undertaker. Mike, you saw Undertaker Texas,
Oh,
right?
he's huge.
And who was The Undertaker's brother?
Kane.
Kane.
Yeah.
So Kane comes out, and Kane's, he's now like the mayor in East Tennessee town.
Yes,
right?
something like that. Yeah.
So, but in wrestling now, there are all these smaller groups. And a few months ago, there was a wrestler named Gane, Gayne. And he would come out, and he looks like Kane, much smaller, but he'd be in like rainbow colors. It was a gay Kane.
Oh my God.
He had a mask too.
Yeah, everything is exactly the same.
Game.
It's exactly the same.
No.
Except his moves were quite flamboyant. His colors were rainbow.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, it gets it. So, and that I would watch and I would laugh because it was just a parody of Kane, but they were making him what would be considered. Let me get my words right here.
Make sure this comes out right.
Yes. Well, you get it, right? His name is
Yep.
Gane,
Yep,
Gayne.
we get it.
So there's this new guy that's dressed all in white, and he comes out, and see if you can guess his name. It's another spinoff. He comes out dressed in all white, and he gets beat up, and none of these Kanes are the same size as the real Kane because he's a monster.
Right. Yeah.
They're like parodies. And he comes out and he's getting beat up, and all of a sudden he'll take his nose and go. And then he gets a lot of energy.
Oh, yeah.
His name is
Cocaine.
Funny.
So Cocaine is now a controversial wrestler. Then there is this guy that comes like walking with a limp and his hose. His name's Pimp Kane, like a pimp cane.
Ah, yeah.
Okay.
So there's starting to be all these Kane spinoffs, and it's hilarious.
We need like a Royal Rumble.
Of all
of them.
Yeah.
Game is just
The problem is
The last game standing.
they're not in these real organizations, right? So I know there's other ones because I bookmarked one of them. Let me find it. And here we go.
This Kane multiverse shit is crazy. Okay.
After that, there was gay.
There's gay Kane, game.
Then we met
Cocaine.
Then there was the female Candy Cane.
So she's fully striped, red and white,
Oh,
just like
God.
Kane, but looks like a candy cane. Okay. And he's dressed. This newest member is dressed in like leopard and got his hat and he got it.
Of the Kane Army. Pimp Kane.
So anyway, I'll let you guys know when there are more Kanes.
That music pumped me up.
I
That's
know.
good.
The first time I saw Gane,
is just.
I was like, "This is." Then Cocaine, and then he gets all this. So yeah, that's what's up. I hope you guys have a great day, and we will see you on the other side. Thanks to Coach, thanks to Brandon Marcello, and that's pretty much it. Do you want to blow the whistle?
I got you.
This you can do.
I can do this.
You did, yeah. And sorry, Casey, for your loss. And Arkansas lost basketball, but they played Baylor pretty close.
Yeah.
Baylor's pretty good.
New York football is in utter shambles, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm in the acceptance stage at this point.
You should combine teams.
Yeah.
I still don't think you'd be that good. But if
No,
you like
no.
get just a New York team,
Right.
the Giants.
Yeah.
Giants.
Yeah, the Giants. And play
Let's do anything
the
at
rest
this
of the
point.
year. Yeah, I
if
think it's-
anything. Let's just try.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers quits,
he should? I think it's time.
or like
Let's
a
just-
mystery ailment?
We were thinking like maybe he'll go go to South America and just be gone.
But he's got to have a
little
reason,
while.
right? He's got to have like his elbow's hurt or something.
Right.
He can't do it
I
right
guess it's
now.
not- yeah.
His ankle or something's been messing
Something,
up, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
All right.
Achilles is.
We will see you guys later on this week. Bye, buddy.